So, I decided to make a completely different sort of video because for any aviator it is important to understand where their journey started. And it started here, 1903, through two brothers, Wilbur and Orville Wright, and their Wright Flyer. And I'm here at the Wright Brothers National Memorial. This is Kill Devil Hills in North Carolina, and that massive monument, that is where we're going first. So Wilbur and Orville weren't really aviation pioneers. They were bike repairmen, but they were very knowledgeable in science and mechanics. Poppy roses. It's nice. And they were very, very smart. And with the help of the books of Otto Lilienthal, who nearly beat them to the mark, they designed their Wright Flyer. And it was made from wood, and it didn't fly very far, nor did it fly very high, but it flew with a guy in it and an engine, which means for the first time in ever, man had sustained motorized flight. That down there is the strip where they did it. Nowadays there's an airfield nearby. My Cessna is parked over there. But let's get on top of this hill first. It's a very nice walk. I've been here in real life, and for me this is hollow ground. Sorry, I got a little emotional there, because this is where it all started. I mean, without this achievement we wouldn't have Flight Simulator, we wouldn't have real flight, we would have nothing. But these two brothers, they gave that to us. They made the world smaller. There's two busts up here, and here it stands. Achieved by a dauntless resolution and unconquerable faith. Oh, it starts here, of course. Well, this is Orville, and that is Wilbur. And it says here, in commemoration of the conquest of air by the brothers Wilbur and Orville Wright, conceived by genius, achieved by dauntless resolution and unconquerable faith. And then here it says, erected by the Congress of the United States, begun 1928, dedicated 1932. And that's where it all happened. Now the first flight wasn't fancy. It was linen and wood and an old engine. I don't know where they got it exactly. I should check. And it wasn't fast either. They erected a big crane at the beginning of their let's call it runway, where they had a weight because they didn't have an engine in the first tryouts. And when releasing the weight would drop down and pull the aircraft into the air. But of course, that wasn't enough. They wanted it all. They wanted motorized flights. And that's when they built the Wright Flyer, which had already flown, I mean, by means of the pre-mentioned weight. Yeah, definitely hollow ground this. You have to be here to understand the value and definitely the weight of it all. And look at aviation these days. I mean, we have jet engines, we have huge aircraft that can travel thousands and thousands of miles across the vastness of the Atlantic Ocean, uh, across continents. Um, if they saw what aviation was now, I think they would have been very proud of our achievements. It's a bit of a walk, but that gives you time to mentally take in where you're walking. And again, for me, this is holy ground and definitely something that makes me emotional. Um, Aviation has always been such a huge part of my life uh, that I wouldn't be who I was today without it. It's usually quite busy here, especially when the weather is nice. A lot of foreigners come this way to those wooden sheds. That's where they kept the aircraft and did their tinkering. And those milestones, they mark the distances that the aircraft had flown. They made multiple flights that day. And again, remember, these weren't particularly um, aviation-oriented people, but they did this. I think that's the rock I was talking about. Let's see. Kill Devil Hills. When the Wright brothers were here, the big Kill Devil Hill, the hill in front of you, was a massive sand dune. Thousands of times the brothers tracked up this and 3 nearby dunes to conduct glider experiments. As I said, in the beginning they didn't have an engine, so they either manned or unmanned glided off that hill that you see until they had an engine. Climbing the hill was strenuous. Deep soft sand caused every step up the slope to slip part way back down. The Wright brothers were also burdened with carrying their heavy gliders up the hill for each flight. Their tireless efforts paid off as they mastered their flying skills and redefined their flight controls. The Wright Flyer used wing wrapping. Wing wrapping is kind of like what birds do. First flight, December 17th, 1903, and the weather was cold. On this cold and windy morning, the Wrights achieved the world's first controlled flight. Here they realized not only their own dream, but also one of humanity's oldest dreams, to fly. The boulder and numbered markers on the field in front of you mark the takeoff and landing spot of those flights. Yeah, as I said, this was the rails they put their aircraft on, and then this boulder was dropped. I think it's this boulder. The first successful flight of an airplane was made on this spot by Orville Wright, December 17, 1903, in a machine designed and built by Wilbur Wright and Orville Wright. This tablet was erected by the National Aeronautic Association of the United States of America, December 17, 1928, to commemorate the 25th anniversary of this event. So they put it on these rails, and they had a crane-like contraption here, and I think it's the boulder that was used. I'm not sure. It might have gotten lost in time, but they dropped the boulder, and the aircraft was propelled forward because they didn't have an engine yet. And this is it. These are the mile markers, well, not miles, but the markers of their flights. End of the first flight, time 12 seconds, distance 120 feet, December 17, 1903, pilot Orville. This flight can now actually take place in the cargo hull of a 747. End of flight 2. Time about 12 seconds, distance about 175 foot. December 17, 1903, pilot Wilbur. And the third flight, 15 seconds, 200 feet, December 17, 1903, and the pilot was Orville. They then started to master, of course, their aircraft. They upgraded everything from engine to flight controls, and people started to invite them into air shows that were set up, and they started selling the aircraft. Let's look at these sheds. There's a little museum there. In commemoration of the conquest of the air. Let's get a little closer. From its establishment as a national monument in 1927 to the first flight centennial of 2003, the local people of the Outer Banks have shown dauntless resolution and unconquerable faith in honoring, recognizing the first flight of the Wright brothers. The Kill Devil Hills Memorial Association, later to become the First Flight Society, took the lead in organizing the 25th anniversary celebration held in 1928. The event featured the unveiling of the first flight marker and the laying of the cornerstone for the monument, two of the most prominent features at the Wright brothers National Memorial. For the first time, the location of the first flight received as much attention as the flight itself. Orville Wright, Amelia Earhart, and more than 3,000 people from the area participated in this event. Ironically, to attend, they traveled by almost every means but air. Over the years, local citizens, the First Flight Society, and people from all over the state of North Carolina have continued to provide the grassroots support necessary to host annual commemorative events. With their help, the reconstruction camp buildings were opened during the 50th anniversary celebration, the first flight airstrip during the 60th anniversary, and the first flight sculpture, a gift from the people of North Carolina, was dedicated during the 100th anniversary celebration. And that there is Orville Wright and Amelia Earhart. Oh, and United States Senator, what's his name? Can't really... Lorraine Bingham? Now we, of course, we had the Amelia Earhart flight a few days ago, 2 weeks ago. And she lived through all of this. She lived through from this linen and wooden aircraft up to her metal beach. She lived through all of that. She was a total badass. I mean, Wilbur and Orville Wright lived and worked here during their 1901, 1902 and 1903 testing seasons, late summer through autumn. The reconstructed buildings in front of you depict the Wright brothers' 1903 camp. Each year, the brothers refined their camp. In 1901, they built a wooden hangar workshop reconstructed on your right. For the glider and lived in a tent. They moved to their living quarters into hangar workshop buildings in 1902. In 1903, needing more space for their flyer, the brothers built a larger hangar built to your left. It's amazing to be here.